On my best friend Fong Li's 22nd birthday, she was harassed by a drunk. As a black belt in Taekwondo, I accidentally killed the drunk while trying to protect her. However, in court, she refused to testify for me. I was sentenced to 3 years in prison for manslaughter. After being released from prison, I found that Fong Li had married my boyfriend, and they even had a daughter over 2 years old. They also plotted to marry me off to Fong Li's divorced and abusive older brother. Then, in a blink of an eye, I was back on Fong Li's 22nd birthday. Just a second ago, I had a car accident due to being in a daze. Then, when I opened my eyes, I was already back in my room, seeing the time on my phone. I finally confirmed that I had really returned to the day of Fong Li's 22nd birthday. 3 years ago, I looked at myself in the mirror to attend the birthday party of my best friend, whom I had known since junior high school. I had carefully dressed up. There were messages from 2 people on my phone. One was from Fong Li. She sent a location and a voice message. When I clicked it, her sweet voice came through. "Honey, this is the restaurant I booked. Don't go to the wrong place, okay?" The other was from my boyfriend, Lin Yanhua. He sent a message, "Yuan Qing. Are you ready? I'm almost downstairs at your place." I rolled my eyes in my heart. In my past life, I thought they didn't have much interaction at this time. Hearing that a best friend was like a little mother-in-law, I added some money and bought an expensive necklace for Fong Li in Lin Yanhua's name. I wanted my best friend and my boyfriend to get along well. Who knew that when I got out of prison after 3 years, their child was already over 2 years old. Calculating by time, the child was already conceived at this time. Biting back the urge to curse them out, I sent a message to Fong Li. "Honey, I accidentally sprained my ankle just now. I have to go to the hospital first. I'm extremely sorry for missing your birthday. I'll definitely make it up to you later." My family was better off than Fong Li's. Over the years, she had taken a lot of advantage of me, so on the surface, she was always obedient to me. She sent a bunch of concerned voice messages. I didn't click on them. I was afraid that I would vomit when I heard her overly sweet voice. Then I sent a message to Lin Yanhua. "I'm not feeling well. You go by yourself." Without waiting for his reply, I set his WeChat to do not disturb. I looked back at the gifts on the bed. The necklace was to be given in Lin Yanhua's name, and I also bought her a bag in my own name. Neither of the 2 items was in a style I liked, so I took the 2 things and went to return them. After returning the things and walking out of the luxury store, I casually opened Moments and saw Fong Li's post. She was wearing a white princess dress, holding a large bouquet of flowers, surrounded by gifts, looking like a little princess, and my Lin Yanhua was standing next to Fong Li. He was standing, his body slightly leaning towards Fong Li. At first glance, without knowing, people might think they were a couple. Disgusting things. Fong Li and I had known each other since middle school. Her family was ordinary, when the surrounding classmates were all unkempt and didn't know how to dress up. She was slender, fair-skinned, and had a soft voice. She didn't know how many boys' hearts she had captured, but where there is love, there is also hatred. One day after school, she was blocked in an alley by several little hooligan girls. The reason was simple. The boy that the little hooligan girls had a crush on liked Fong Li. When I was a child, I was in poor health, so my parents sent me to learn Taekwondo, originally just to strengthen my body. Who knew that I had extraordinary talent in this area and had few opponents at a young age? So when I saw Fong Li being bullied, I stepped in and drove those little hooligan girls away with a few moves. Before those little hooligan girls ran away, they shouted at me, "Jiang Yuan Qing, I will never let you go." I put my hands on my hips and shouted at them, "If you have the guts, come at me." My brother is Shenting from the senior high school department. I turned around and reached out to pull up Fong Li, who was crying pitifully. Since then, Fong Li and I, with completely different personalities, became close friends. Later, she also asked me why I had a different surname from my brother. I bit the straw of my yogurt, looked up at Shenting at the top of the honor roll, and didn't know how to tell her that Shenting lived in our house because his parents had both passed away. Seeing me hesitate, Fong Li gave me a playful smile. "I won't ask about the private affairs of the rich, but..." She paused and stepped forward to point at Shenting's photo. "Do you mind if I chase your brother?" Before, I didn't understand, but after being reborn, I realized that from that time on, Fong Li seemed to be consciously trying to snatch things from me. She would borrow the clothes I just bought to wear. She would take my extracurricular books to read. She would also get to know my friends, and she even wanted to chase my brother. I was too young back then to tell good people from bad. When I knew that Fong Li wanted to chase Shenting, I even specifically went to tell Shenting. After hearing this, Shenting raised his eyes and glanced at me. "Jiang Yuan Qing, where's your ID card?" I was a little confused, but I still took out my ID card from my bag. "Here it is." Shenting snorted softly. "Then please take a good look at how old you are now. At your age, falling in love in the next 3 years is considered puppy love." Shenting was 3 years older than me. I was in the 3rd year of junior high school, and he was in the 3rd year of senior high school. He had lived in our house since he was 10. At first, I really liked to play with him. Having a good-looking brother at home was a great thing for a girl to show off, but as I grew up, I increasingly felt that Shenting was a block of wood. He was calm, sober, as cold as the autumn lake. As a teenager in his teens, he was already calm, introverted, and didn't show his emotions. My dad even praised him, saying that he would surely achieve great things in the future, but the always calm Shenting in my past life, after I was imprisoned, his eyes were red countless times, for maybe I was too much of a fool before and always followed Feng Li's will. This time, that is such a sucker, suddenly didn't go to her birthday. The gifts she showed off didn't look as high-end as before, so not long after she posted on Moments, she made a video call to me. I didn't answer. I looked at the time. At this point, they should have moved from the restaurant where they ate to the second venue, a KTV. In my past life, I paid for the KTV. It was already very late when we came out of the KTV. Other friends got in their cars and left one after another, and Feng Li, who was waiting for a car by the roadside, was suddenly hugged by a drunk. His hands were all over her in a vulgar way. After Lin Yanhua and I drove the car out, we saw that Feng Li's clothes were already in a mess. This place was relatively remote, and the security guards couldn't see. There were several accomplices around the drunk, making lewd laughter. Seeing my friend being bullied, I got out of the car and ran over directly. After pulling Feng Li over, the drunk still wanted to attack me. I had learned taekwondo, so I threw him to the ground with a judo throw. When the other drunks saw this, they all surrounded me to help. It was a bit difficult for me to deal with 3 or 4 drunks, but Lin Yanhua, as if he didn't see anything, hid in the car and refused to get out for a long time. So during the entanglement, in a hurry to get away, I didn't control my strength well and kicked one of them to the ground. His backside of head hit the ground and he fainted. A passer-by called the police, and all of us were taken to the police station. Finally, we learned that the drunk had died because of a serious brain injury. My family hired the best lawyer for me, but there was no surveillance in that place, except for ourselves and those drunks. There were no other witnesses. Originally, I was just acting in self-defense, but in court, Feng Li, the good friend I had always treated sincerely, said in court. At that time, the drunk had stopped pestering me. Jiang Yuanqing misread and thought I was being bullied. Even though my family spent a lot of money, I was still sentenced to 3 years in prison. My parents' hair turned white overnight. Shenting, who was always calm and self-possessed, looked at me with red eyes. Yuan, don't be afraid. Brother will be with you. 5 later, I was locked up in prison. Feng Li came to see me. She was crying pitifully, looking so miserable, as if she was the one who had suffered a great grievance. I'm sorry, Yuan, I was so scared. She showed the same pitiful face as she had countless times after making mistakes before. You'll forgive me, right? Forgive? I tear her to pieces. I spent 3 years in prison, and it took me a full 3 years to not hate her so much. But when I got out of prison, the news I got was that my good best friend Feng Li had already married my boyfriend Lin Yanhua and even had a child over 2 years old. Hate, yes. Resent, yes. So I'm being reborn. I want to stand by as a bystander and watch them be torn apart by fate. I returned home and quietly waited for that moment to come. At 1:30 in the morning, I received a call from Lin Yanhua. I guessed what was going on, so I answered the phone. On the other end, Lin Yanhua was panting, and the background was a bit noisy. His tone was a bit urgent. Yuanqing, come to the police station. Something happened to Feng Li. The good show was about to begin. When I arrived, the police station was in chaos. Crying, shouting, the police's scolding, and the siren outside were all mixed together. At other times, I would find this kind of background noise very annoying, but at this moment, I felt like it was the sound of nature. Under this background noise, it meant that I was completely reborn. I had completely escaped the tragedy of my past life and started my new life. I stepped on my small leather shoes, carried my small bag, walked past those people, and came to Lin Yanhua. He looked like a mess. There was a bruise on the corner of his mouth, and his clothes were torn. He was lowering his head when he heard my footsteps and looked up. The first thing he said was, "Why didn't you go to Feng Li's birthday party today?" I paused. Why didn't I notice before that Lin Yanhua was so good at blaming others? I tilted my head and looked at him. Would it be any different if I went? In my past life, when I saw Feng Li being molested, my first reaction was to rush down to help her. And as my boyfriend, the one who cheated with Feng Li, Lin Yanhua had been hiding in the car and not getting out. Later, his explanation was that he was calling the police in the car, but in fact, the person who really called the police was a passer-by, perhaps irritated by my words. He suddenly stood up, and the look in his eyes when he looked at me was extremely fierce. Aren't you a taekwondo black belt? When you went out with Feng Li before, didn't you also drive away the hooligans? If I had gone this time, the one being harassed, molested, and violated would be me, then you wouldn't be sad, right? Lin Yanhua was stunned, and his arrogant aura just now subsided a lot. He looked at me in disbelief. You know, right? I smiled sweetly. What do you think? I didn't want to pay attention to Lin Yanhua anymore. I turned around and followed the policewoman to find Feng Li. She looked much worse than Lin Yanhua. Her clothes had been completely torn. The policewoman had found other clothes to cover her. She was sitting on the bed, curled up, her exquisitely permed hair, which had cost a lot of money, was now in a mess. Her eyes were red, because of her fair skin. Any trace left on her body would be very obvious. She lowered her head and shed tears, looking extremely pitiful. The policewoman explained to me that after Fong Li and the others came out of the KTV, they met the drunks. The drunks molested Fong Li. Lin Yanhua called the police and the security guards after Fong Li was dragged into the alley, and then went to help. Lin Yanhua directly took a brick and hit the man on the head, now that drunk was still in the ICU of the hospital, and his life was hanging by a thread. After the policewoman finished speaking, Fong Li looked up at me, and her tone was also very weak, Yuanqing, but I didn't step forward to hug her as before. Instead, I stood where I was. She looked at me, a little confused. The policewoman noticed the strange atmosphere and thought we had something to say, so she quietly backed out. "Why are you standing so far away?" Fong Li asked me. My expression was indifferent. "I just came to take a look. I can't help much, after making sure you're okay. I'm going home, it's already very late." I put it as euphemistically as possible. "I just came to watch the joke." Fong Li's face changed. She was in disbelief and a little bit blameful. "Yuanqing, what do you mean? Aren't we friends? I'm already like this. Why are you so cold-hearted? I never thought you would be such a person. I never thought you would be such a person either." I interrupted her and said directly, "I treated you as a friend. What about you? Have you ever treated me as a real friend?" Fong Li was stunned. "You? What do you mean? Literally? I didn't want to entangle with them too much," I said. "I just came to watch their jokes, in my past life." This night was my nightmare. After accidentally pushing that person down, my parents rushed over. My mother, who had been elegant for most of her life, collapsed on the ground and cried bitterly when she heard that I might be imprisoned. Both my parents' hair turned white overnight. I was controlled by the police, and my parents were crying bitterly outside, but Fong Li, whom I had helped, had been standing in the corner and didn't even give my parents a word of comfort. Lin Yanhua had been standing beside Fong Li. After symbolically comforting my parents a few words, he left with Fong Li. Now that I think about it, they probably didn't go back to school that night but went to a hotel, and I became the biggest victim. And on this night, after being reborn, I looked at the group chat with Shenting, my parents, and me on my phone. Before going to bed, my parents posted photos of them having dinner at a restaurant, with happiness all over their faces. In this life, I will firmly hold on to my happiness. When I turned around and walked out of the police station, Fong Li and Lin Yanhua's parents had just arrived. I passed by them. They all looked back at me. Maybe they wanted to say something to me. But they were urged by the police and followed the police in. I stood outside the police station and looked back at the busy police station. The harm I suffered in my past life, in this life, I will make them pay back 1,000 times. The news that Fong Li was dragged into the alley by the drunk spread throughout the whole school that night. The next day when I went to class, I heard several girls next to me talking about something. I was curious and turned my head. "What are you looking at?" Those girls looked at each other and didn't dare to speak. I thought for a while, is it about Fong Li? Those girls' faces changed, and they nodded. One of the girls who had a good relationship with me took her phone and sat next to me. "Yuanqing, I know you have a good relationship with Fong Li. You may be angry when you see this video, so we didn't dare to show it to you." "What video?" The girl held up her phone for me to see. The video was secretly taken from upstairs. It was the KTV from last night. Fong Li was dragged into the alley by those drunks, and her white princess dress was torn and thrown out. The video was a bit blurry, and it was not clear what exactly happened, but the girls' screams and the drunks' jeering laughter in the video were enough to show what had happened. After watching it, I frowned slightly. 9. Although I did want to take revenge on Fong Li and Lin Yanhua, I really hated the person who posted the video of a girl being violated. Seeing my expression turn sour, the girl immediately paused the video. "We don't know who posted it either. It was spread everywhere last night. Yesterday was Fong Li's birthday. You should have been there, right?" Everyone knew that I had a close relationship with Fong Li. Fong Li was the art department's department flower, popular all over the school with her perfect appearance. Many rich second-generation students were pursuing her, and she changed boyfriends quite frequently. Moreover, due to her arrogant personality, she had already offended many people. Now that this video came out, those who had disliked her on weekdays all started to pile on the blame. I lowered my eyes and said, "I wasn't there. I don't really know what happened." Although I was disgusted by the person who spread the video of a girl being violated, I always remembered what had happened to me because of Fong Li in my past life. I would never forgive her. After thinking for a while, I said to those girls, "In the future, you don't have to consider me when it comes to Fong Li's matters. I have nothing to do with her now." The sudden break up of former good friends was a story worth them gossiping about for a long time. On that day, neither Lin Yanhua nor Fong Li came to school. After sending Lin Yanhua a break up text message, I immediately blocked both of their WeChat accounts. Based on my understanding of them, I knew they would come to pester me later. After all, I had been so naive all these years and had given them so many benefits. After finishing the afternoon classes, I went home. In my past life, I was in prison for 3 years, my parents cried every day, and our family business plummeted. Everything was supported by Shenting. Even before coming back, I had sent them a message saying that I would come back for dinner tonight, but when I arrived at the door, I was still nervous, after giving myself enough mental preparation. I pressed the doorbell. Our house was a large riverside flat. As soon as the door opened, the nanny aunt was busy arranging the dishes, my father was sitting in the living room watching the news, my mother opened the door and saw me, her eyes curving into a smile. Yuan is back. I thought I had done enough mental preparation and wouldn't show my emotions, but when I saw such a warm scene and my gentle-eyed mother standing in front of me, I still couldn't hold back. And big teardrops fell. As soon as my mother saw me crying, she immediately panicked. "Oh, what's wrong? Did you get bullied at school?" In their eyes, I had just been at school for 2 days and then came back, but in my eyes, it was the first time in a full 3 years that I felt the warmth of home again. At the dinner table, my parents kept putting food in my bowl. While chatting, my parents suddenly talked about Shenting. "By the way, your brother is coming back soon." My hand holding the chopsticks paused. After college, Shenting chose to study abroad and started a company with his foreign classmates. According to my father, it was doing quite well. In my past life, he was probably coming back around this time, but because of my incident, he rushed back regardless of everything and only managed to catch up with my sentencing in court, this time, since I didn't have an accident, according to the plan. He was probably going to come back within half a month. In fact, in my past life, the relationship between me and Shenting was a bit delicate. I was pursued by Lin Yanhua when I was a sophomore and got together with him. Once, we were spotted by Shenting while shopping on the street. He pulled me aside with a straight face and said that I was not allowed to fall in love. I just thought he was trying to persuade me in an elder-like way, and I was a bit unhappy. "Before you said that falling in love before the age of 18 was puppy love, but now I'm almost 20, why are you meddling in my affairs? I'm your brother, you're not my real brother." Because of this quarrel, I started to avoid him. He was 3 years older than me and had already received an admission notice from a foreign university at that time. He was so busy every day that he went out early and came back late. Even if we happened to meet by chance, I would angrily avoid him. Until he really went abroad, I was still angry with him because he didn't allow me to be with Lin Yanhua, who knew that the next time we met, I was about to go to prison. Thinking of how he had run around for me in my past life, the always clean and hygienic him became unshaven. And his beautiful peach blossom eyes were full of bloodshot. He was not my real brother, but he was better than a real brother. So after dinner, when I returned to my room, I took out my phone. The chat record between me and him stopped more than 2 years ago. When he went abroad, I took out my phone, thinking about what kind of conciliatory message to send him to apologize. As a result, I accidentally touched the voice call button, my hand shook, and the phone fell to the ground. I hurriedly picked it up and found that the other side had already answered the call. A clear and cold male voice came through. "Hello?" I froze, not daring to speak. Shenting called again. "Jiangyuan." Hearing the familiar voice, my nose twitched. When I spoke again, my voice had changed. "I'm here." He seemed to have heard the sobbing in my voice, and his tone was no longer as cold as before, like the calm lake finally rippling. "What's wrong? What happened?" I sniffed and looked at the photo of me and him on the desk when we were young. I was looking at the camera, and the little boy was looking at me, so I spoke, across the entire Pacific Ocean and several time zones, conveying the most sincere words in my heart. "Shenting, I miss you." After I said that, I was so ashamed that I threw the phone aside. Shenting's parents and my parents were family friends. When my parents' business failed, all the relatives and friends around closed their doors and refused to lend a hand. It was Shenting's parents who helped my parents. When Shenting was 10 years old, his parents' business had problems, and they died in a car accident. It was my parents who rushed to the Shen family's villa and brought Shenting back from those debt collectors. When he first came to our house, Shenting always refused to talk and eat. My parents couldn't do anything about him. It was I who kept pestering and coaxing him that he was willing to speak. However, the first sentence he said to me was, "Can you be quiet?" When I was a child, I called him brother. When I grew up and knew that he didn't have the same parents as me, I would call him brother when I was happy and call him by his full name when I was unhappy. During puberty, when everyone was attracted to the male classmates in school, I shamefully blushed for Shenting, but after realizing it, I simply gave myself a slap. "Jiangyuan, have you no shame? He lives in your house because he has no choice. How could you have such improper thoughts about him?" Later, after learning biology, I also understood that it was normal to have an interest in the opposite sex during puberty. I slowly let go of it and would also suddenly praise him after staring at him. "Brother, you're so good looking." In short, if it weren't for Lin Yanhua, The relationship between me and Shenting would always have been good. For several days in a row, Fangli and Lin Yanhua didn't come to school, but their affairs had spread far and wide. Fangli had always been ostentatious in her actions, now that she had encountered these things. Those who had been bullied by her before began to gloat. When I walked into the classroom, everyone was whispering. When I entered, everyone exchanged glances and then gradually quieted down, after I sat down. A boy who usually had a good relationship with me in the front row turned around and looked at me. Yuanqing, I heard that you and Fangli had a falling out. I gave a hum. He asked again. Because of what? I couldn't explain to them how badly I had been hurt by Fangli in my past life. I was still hesitating when the girl next to me said, what else could it be, because she saw Fangli's true colors. With this sentence, it was like opening everyone's chatterbox. Everyone spoke one after another, sharing what they had seen and heard about Fangli. I live in the same dormitory as Yuanqing, so I have the most say. Every time she had a date, she would come to take Yuanqing's clothes and bags, but I never saw her return them. Either the ones she returned smelled of hot pot or had stains. It's not just clothes and bags, there are also skin care products. Yuanqing is so kind. Every time she buys skin care products, she buys 2 sets. She takes them for granted, but I never saw her buy anything for Yuanqing, Fangli. I thought she was very scheming from the first time I saw her. On the surface, she smiles and is gentle to everyone, but who knows what she's really like behind the scenes? There's another thing, I don't know if you've noticed. Fangli always likes to snatch things from others. Everyone spoke one after another, bringing up all the little things that had made me feel a bit uncomfortable about Fangli over the years. People are like this. The little details that were not noticed before would all be triggered at a certain point, since we met in junior high school. I had always regarded Fangli as a weak person who needed help and took good care of her. Her family was of ordinary means, but she was a bit vain, so, whenever I bought skin care products for myself, I would also buy a set for her. When we went shopping, I always paid the bill. I had gotten used to it over the years, but at this moment, when everyone said it out, I realized the inequality in this relationship, in this friendship between me and Fangli. I had always been giving, while Fangli had always been taking. A small favor creates indebtedness, a great favor breeds resentment. Fangli, at some point, had developed hatred towards me and started trying to snatch my things, at first. After she said she wanted to pursue Shenting but failed, she changed her words and said she also hoped to have such a brother. So on weekends, I would bring her home to play. Shenting was reading in the study, and she would go to disturb him many times. She would call Shenting brother all the time. At that time, Shenting had just finished the college entrance examination and was previewing the content of his college major at home, when he heard Fangli call him like that. He looked up coldly. I remember I only have one sister. Then, regardless of Fangli, who was standing there awkwardly, he directly carried his school bag and went out. At that time, I still accused Shenting of being impolite and cold. Now that I think about it, Shenting could tell a scheming girl from a young age. 5 days after the incident, I ran into Lin Yanhua at the dormitory entrance. He was wearing a baseball cap and a mask. It seemed that he knew he was in the spotlight recently. At first, I didn't notice. It was not until I walked in front of him that he suddenly grabbed my arm, and I was startled. He made a shh gesture. It's me. I twitched the corner of my mouth. It's because it's you that I screamed. Someone passed by and glanced at us. Lin Yanhua quickly lowered his head, afraid of being recognized. Can we find a place with fewer people, after the lessons of my past life? I was now afraid that he would take me to a deserted place and hit me on the head. I chuckled twice and took his hand away. No need. Before blocking him, I was afraid he wouldn't understand what I meant, so I had sent him a message saying that I wanted to break up with him. I thought he could guess what was going on, and I was too lazy to be so explicit, but I never expected that he would still have the nerve to come to me. Seeing that I was about to leave, he grabbed me again. Yuanqing, you can't just say break up and that's it. I know it was wrong of me and Fangli to do that, but you can't completely blame me. At that time, you and I were arguing, and Fangli was always chatting with me, so I ended up like that. Now that I'm in trouble, you can't just ignore me. Sure enough, after a man cheats, his first reaction is not to think that he is wrong but to find reasons from others. I was so angry that I laughed instead. I turned around and looked at him with disgust. Lin Yanhua, why didn't I notice before that you were so shameless? I struggled to get away, but I didn't expect Lin Yanhua to throw caution to the wind and directly pull me out. Many people around were looking, but no one came forward to help. Just as I was about to use my taekwondo skills, a tall and slender figure walked over from the side. He held my hand and then clamped Lin Yanhua's wrist. With a light squeeze, Lin Yanhua let go of my wrist in pain. He protected me behind him. When I looked up, I saw his profile. It was Shenting. He stared fixedly at Lin Yanhua. I warned you more than 2 years ago not to get close to her, right? Shenting's aura was so strong that, coupled with the pointing and whispering of the people around, Lin Yanhua could only run away like a coward. Shenting turned around and met my upward-looking gaze. These days, the weather had turned cooler. He was wearing a long black windbreaker and looked extremely handsome. I was still immersed in his handsomeness when, the next second, he tapped my forehead with his knuckles. Is falling in love fun? I covered my forehead and glared at him. This Shenting was really vindictive. Shenting said he would take me home for dinner. I followed him into the car and found that the driver was his high school classmate. They often took me with them when they had gatherings before. As soon as his classmate saw me, he winked and said, "Oh, Yuan Qing. You've become so beautiful now. No wonder someone, just getting off the plane without going home, rushed to pick you up. If I had such a beautiful sister, I would also fly here to pick you up." Before he finished speaking, he was hit by a pillow thrown by Shenting. After going through the events of my past life, I was extremely happy to meet him this time. Both of us were sitting in the back seat. I turned around and looked at him. "Didn't Mom and Dad say you wouldn't be back for a few more days? Why are you back today?" Before Shenting could speak, the classmate driving the car was shaking with suppressed laughter. Shenting adjusted his sitting position a bit uncomfortably and said, "Didn't you say to let me come back early?" "When did I ask him to come back early? That day? I clearly said that I missed him." I suddenly paused, after not seeing each other for more than 2 years. The Shenting in front of me was the Shenting I knew, but he also had a different feeling. Outside the car window was the busy traffic, and inside the car was his side face looking ahead. In the quiet and enclosed space, my heart suddenly started beating faster. I silently turned back and pretended to play with my phone, but on my phone, I searched, "After puberty, will you still have a strong and unprovoked interest in the opposite sex?" The family was reunited. I looked at this scene and my eyes turned slightly red, but I didn't want Shenting to see it and misunderstand. After dinner, when I returned to my room, he knocked on my door. After getting my consent, he walked in. After looking me up and down for a while, he said, "Are you still sad because of breaking up with that jerk?" I was sitting on the bay window, and Shenting was sitting at my desk. Our eyes met, and my heart started beating fast again for some reason, so I averted my eyes. "No," but Shenting stared at me intently. "You don't dare to look at me. Are you guilty?" Shenting seemed a bit angry. "What's so good about him? If you break up, you break up. Don't fall in love in the future either. Men are all no good." I muttered. "You're a man too." Shenting paused. "I'm different. Lin Yanhua found me again through a mutual friend later." I directly posted a moments. "I have broken up with Lin Yanhua. If anyone comes to be a peacemaker, don't blame me for blocking you as a friend too." After this moments, the world became quiet. Regarding Fong Li's incident, Fong Li was the victim, but public opinion was terrifying. Everyone was spreading the rumor that Fong Li had been raped by those drunks, just when the rumors were in full swing. A person who had asked for sick leave to see a doctor posted a moments, saying that they saw Fong Li having an examination in the obstetrics department at the hospital. The photo released was indeed of Fong Li standing outside the obstetrics consultation room alone. This moments was like solidifying the rumor that she had been raped. The once high and mighty department flower goddess had now become a rat that everyone hated. As for Lin Yanhua, the drunk he had hit with a brick was said to have become a vegetable. Lin Yanhua's parents found a lawyer for him, saying it was self-defense, but at this critical moment, someone released another video. It was Lin Yanhua hitting that drunk with a brick, after the drunk fell unconscious, and then he took the brick and hit him several more times. Once the video came out, it was no longer self-defense. Eventually, Lin Yanhua was sentenced to pay a large sum of compensation to the drunk and also had to serve 3 years in prison. The hardships I endured in my past life had all become his retribution. 18, a full month after this incident, Fong Li returned to school. Ours was a key university, and the graduation certificate held high value. Graduation was approaching, and I guessed that Fong Li couldn't afford to drop out. But when she returned to school, what greeted her were all kinds of rumors. One day when I was having lunch in the cafeteria, I saw her sitting alone. People around were whispering, and she seemed itched to bury her face in the plate. The same situation had happened in high school. Some people said that Fong Li was dating a small-time hooligan from another school, and everyone isolated her. During the free group selection period in PE class, no one chose her. At that time, I shattered the rumors and firmly took her hand, but at this moment, I just wanted to watch her get her comeuppance from a distance, perhaps feeling that some people were going too far. Fong Li suddenly lost control. She stood up and threw the dinner plate on the ground, then cried out, "I wasn't raped by those drunks. They didn't touch me." A boy heckled, "Then what were you doing in the obstetrics department?" "Going there to have a hemorrhoid removed." Everyone burst into laughter. Fong Li screamed, "The child is Lin Yanhua's, not that drunk's. I wasn't raped." As soon as these words came out, after a moment of silence, there were successive exclamations of shock. Then those who knew about my relationship with Lin Yanhua all silently cast pitying glances at me. The corners of my mouth twitched. Having an ex-boyfriend was making me feel like I had a stain. Even the girl sitting across from me silently put the drumstick in her bowl into mine. "Eat more. You've been through a lot." 19. Later, Fong Li came to see me once, asking to borrow money for an abortion. She still had that pitiful look, with red eyes, showing up at the entrance of my community. Seeing me carrying fruits from afar, she ran over to help me carry them. I turned around and dodged. Just say what you have to say. She didn't beat around the bush. Yuan. I know that what I did with Lin Yanhua was really sorry to you, but can you forgive me this time? I'll never snatch your things again. My parents found out that I'm pregnant and think it's shameful. They won't let me go home and won't give me money for the operation. Now I can only turn to you. The more I listened, the more something seemed off. So you mean that my friend got pregnant with my boyfriend's child, and I'm supposed to pay for the abortion? She froze, but the next second, her eyes turned red again. Yuan, I'm really sorry. I'm begging you, just help me this one time. No, thanks. And there's one more thing. I took out a piece of paper from my pocket and handed it to her. These are the things you took from me over the years. I hope you can return them intact. If you can't, then I'll have to sue you. On it were items ranging from a few thousand yuan coat to a tens of thousands yuan bag that Shenting had bought for me. She said she would borrow them for a while, but never return them, added up little by little. It was also more than 100,000 yuan. Fang Li's family was poor. Her parents were both street vendors. Lin Yanhua's family was well off. Before, she had probably made Lin Yanhua spend a lot of money on her by using her body. But now that Lin Yanhua was in prison, there was no one to clean up her mess. Fang Li took the paper and looked at it, then looked at me in disbelief. Jiang Yuanqing, do you really have to be so ruthless? I didn't know how to tell her that I was reborn, but I wanted to tell her in another way. I looked at her and smiled. You know what? I had a dream. In the dream, I went to your birthday party. I was the one who injured the drunk, and then you refused to testify for me in court. I went to prison for 3 years, and you got married to Lin Yanhua and even gave birth to this child. Hearing this, Fang Li's face changed, but she forced herself to remain calm. How is that possible? How could I possibly refuse to testify for you? After knowing each other for so many years, I knew her well. During these days, she and Lin Yanhua must have also thought about what would happen if I had gone to her birthday party, and if I was the one who had injured the drunk. Since she didn't admit it, I didn't want to entangle further. I picked up my things and turned around. You have a week to return them, otherwise, I'll start the lawsuit. After saying that, I ignored her pitiful pleas and turned to enter the community. Who would have thought that just a few steps away, the fruit bag in my hand was taken away? Thinking it was Fang Li, I turned around and made a taekwondo move, but the other person bent down and directly carried me on his shoulder. Only then did I recognize that it was Shenting. He was carrying me on one shoulder and holding the fruits in the other hand, looking in a very good mood. Why are you suddenly so sensible? Weren't you saying you wanted to be best friends with her for a lifetime before? Presumably. Shenting had heard everything just now, so I simply confessed. It's because of that dream. What else did you dream about? I dreamed that Mom and Dad cried so sadly because I went. Only then did I recognize that it was Shenting. He was carrying me on one shoulder and holding the fruits in the other hand, looking in a very good mood. Why are you suddenly so sensible? Weren't you saying you wanted to be best friends with her for a lifetime before? Presumably. Shenting had heard everything just now, so I simply confessed. It's because of that dream. What else did you dream about? I dreamed that Mom and Dad cried so sadly because I went to prison, and I also dreamed about you. I dreamed that you cried so sadly too. Shenting's steps paused. He put me down, under the dim and ambiguous street lamplight. Our eyes met. So, you said you missed me that day because of this dream? Yes, not for any other reason. Perhaps the night breeze was too ambiguous. Or perhaps his eyes were too gentle. I actually sensed something else. He had returned early because of my "I miss you" after getting off the plane. He didn't even go home, but went straight to my school with his luggage, his classmates snickering, my dodging when I looked at him after puberty. Perhaps because of experiencing the life and death separation in my past life, my courage suddenly grew at this moment. Shenting, do you think Mom and Dad will break my legs if I say I want to chase you? Jiang Yuanqing, he suddenly became very serious. Who told you to say such things? I was frightened by his seriousness and looked at him cautiously. Why are you suddenly so serious? I just suddenly realized that I've liked you a bit all these years, but I always thought you were my brother, so I didn't have such thoughts. If you think it's impossible, then I just won't like you. Why are you so fierce? But he said, you can't just like me a little, you have to like me very much. Now we get along like family. But if we get together and then break up because you don't like me anymore, we will not only lose a lover but also our best family. So, you have to like me very much, like him very much. Seeing me hesitate, he reached out and poked my forehead. I'll give you time to think it over, if you're sure. I'll talk to Mom and Dad. 20 at night. While my parents were asleep, I secretly slipped into Shenting's room. He was still sitting in front of the computer working. I directly sat on his bed. I want to ask you some things. Shenting was facing the computer, typing away. What things? When you were in your senior year of high school, what happened to that senior who gave me a love letter to give to you? Later, what happened between you two? I still remembered that at that time, I had some improper thoughts about Shenting, but everyone regarded me as his real sister, and many seniors even gave me gifts to ask me to pass on their love letters. The one I remembered most was the high school beauty. As an art student, she had long curly hair and was as beautiful as a princess. Standing next to her, Fongli looked like a servant. I remembered it clearly, but Shenting looked at me blankly. Who, that school beauty? With long curly hair, as beautiful as a mixed race girl, don't remember. Me, I felt a bit secretly happy, but I still waved my fist at him. If I find out you're lying to me, you're in big trouble. After a while, I asked again, then when did you start liking me? I gradually liked you, he said. By the time I realized it, I already liked you very much. I was quite satisfied with Shenting's answer. I was still lingering in his room when Shenting suddenly said, I advise you to go back quickly. Before, when I regarded you as my sister, it didn't matter how you slept on my bed, but now that you said you like me, there are differences between men and women. I pouted, and at the door, I made a face at him. Hypocrite. 21. When the specified time came, Fongli failed to return the things to me as promised. I had expected this. She was so vain that the valuable things she took from me were probably all resold by her. She came to plead with me pitifully. But I always stuck to my principles. I spent some money to find a lawyer and directly sued her. Another month passed, and Fongli actually paid back the money. I was wondering about this when I heard my classmates gossiping. It was said that Fongli had found a rich boyfriend. It was heard that he was quite old, with a beer belly and a receding hairline, and he even had a wife, but he didn't mind that Fongli had someone else's child in her belly and even paid for her abortion. So Fongli became a mistress. In our senior year, everyone was gradually going for internships, and I also moved out of the dormitory. The company that Shenting founded with his friends was getting bigger and bigger. He directly rented a villa outside and rarely went home. But when I moved out of the dormitory, he still came to pick me up by car, sitting in the passenger seat of his car. In late autumn, the ginkgo leaves on the road were spread out in a golden carpet. I turned around and held Shenting's hand. Shenting, I've decided. I like you very much and want to be with you for a long time. He was startled at first, and then he smiled at me. Okay, as for the hurdle of our parents, I believed that Shenting could solve it for me. In my past life, I was in a hurry and didn't notice that there was an extremely good person by my side who had always loved me. In this life, I will never let go of his hand again.